Thank you for listening to The Actors Room. Please subscribe to the show in iTunes and leave comments and reviews. The show is also on Facebook, Twitter, Google Music, Stitcher, and TuneIn Radio. The website for the show is theactorsroom.libsyn.com. The site gives you access to all past episodes. Enjoy the show.
Welcome back to another episode of The Actors Room. My name is Jeff Tarowski, and I believe this is episode number 35 of The Actors Room, man. 35 is pretty cool. I have my brother with me again this week. I explained last week that we're going to have him with this Tom Cruise episode.
Tommy.
Dave, say hello.
Hey, guys. Hi.
Wow. Tom Cruise was an actor that we grew up watching, okay? He blew up in 83, I believe.
Yeah, that's when he did Risky Business.
83 was Risky Business. Now, his very first film, and I didn't know this when I did the research, I didn't even know he was in this movie, Endless Love with Brooke Shields.
Yeah, I never saw that.
I've heard of that movie. I've never seen it. Brooke Shields, she's okay. But that was his first movie, not a big role, very small role. But in 83, he just blew up. And with Risky Business, right?
Well, he also did Taps and The
I'm sorry.
Outsiders in 83.
I am mistaken.
Was Taps his first?
Taps was his first big role.
Okay. Sean
But
Penn and Timothy
Hutton, yes.
Mm-hmm.
But before we get into his movies, I just wanted to slightly touch upon the fact that as we grew up watching films, Tom Cruise was a big part of who we watched, admired, kind of, right?
Yeah.
I mean, would you say that
a lot of movies,
and we were talking before this all started, kind of setting things up. We went out to eat before we started this podcast, and we were talking about how big he really is, like as a movie star. Who's bigger than Tom Cruise?
Yeah, you mentioned DiCaprio.
Right.
He's huge.
Would you say that he's on par or just a little below?
I would say just a little below because Cruise has been in it since, like, 83. That's kind of when he exploded.
Right.
So he has that longevity. And it's tough to think of someone who's had that longevity like him as a megastar. He's just always in big hits.
Yeah. And the one thing that really kind of pops in my mind when I think of Tom Cruise and doing my research is when he comes out for an interview, like on a show, or he did the Actor Studio edition. I don't know if you probably have seen it.
I have.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a while ago.
I watched it again today.
Nice.
It was fantastic. And when he comes on, the women go crazy for this guy. And he's been dealing with this since 1983.
Yeah.
Up until now. What does that do for your ego?
What do you think?
It has to put you on a plane where it's just life doesn't make sense anymore because you are catapulted into this stratosphere of stardom where walking anywhere you get people screaming at you. And doing my research, I don't think I've ever seen an actor, actress, or anybody come on and the way they react to him. And what does he do? He just smiles. He loves it. Am I right?
Yeah, yeah.
I think
he's the most confident person in Hollywood. Maybe. Pretty close.
Pretty close.
He is.
He's the most confident person, the most confident actor, performer, producer. He produces films. He produced the Mission Impossible films, right?
Yeah, he's also he's really involved with United Artists.
I think so, yeah.
He produces a lot of movies too.
I'm not quite sure exactly which movies he has produced, but I know Mission Impossible was the big one for him. Mm-hmm. And the very first Mission Impossible, he earned $100 million for that movie. One movie. It's incredible. So it's going to be a lot of fun discussing Tom Cruise with my brother and with you. And we're going to start where we always start, and that's at the beginning. Tom Cruise was born on July 3rd, 1962 in Syracuse, New York. Now, his dad was an engineer, and for some reason, Tom would say that he never really was satisfied with his job. And they would always be moving. It's not like he was an army brat. Like these military kids, their dad's in the army, and they're constantly moving because they have to. They're transferred to bases all over the world sometimes. But with Tom Cruise's dad, he just didn't like his job and wanted to move to another city. So he ended up, I think it said right here, I have written down, he went to 15 different schools by the time he was 14.
That's ridiculous.
15? Can you imagine doing that? Can you imagine,
Well, that's where he was always the new kid, and it was always tough. It was always a struggle.
Yep.
Not very popular in school.
Really? I didn't know that.
Not really.
Like in grade school?
He was kind of bullied a lot,
Wow.
because he was a new kid. I mean, come on, how cool
That's
are you
tough
going to be?
To adjust.
No one knows you, so you're easy target.
I think he said he got used to the fact of being in a new place. After what, 15 times? I guess you do get used to it after a while. You would have to in order to survive.
Mm-hmm.
So he had to deal with that in grade school. And I have a note here as a 10-year-old. He was used as a kissing doll. Do you know that story?
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
Yeah, I guess his sister's friends would line up in the bathroom while he sat on the counter and took turns kissing him. And he says he loved it. He was 10 years old. His first French kiss. Kind of strange. A 10-year-old getting French kissed by, I would think they were 14-year-old girls. That's a little weird.
Yeah, that's
Isn't
a little
it?
strange.
If you think about it, it was almost like he was like pimped out in a way by his sisters. I don't know if he got any money for it, but guess what? He was getting some action.
His confidence was already growing at the age of 10.
Right. He was such a cute kid that girls didn't mind.
Well, I don't
right?
know. There's always that talk of he's a sex symbol, but he's not you'll read that he's not like your typical good-looking guy. Like he has
Really?
His teeth were always kind of fucked up.
But they all seem to work with his face.
I guess, but he wasn't really, even as a kid, I don't know how, I don't think he was ever deemed
Beautiful.
right.
Well, who would you consider, just off the top of your head? I don't know, Brad Pitt? Does Tom Cruise have a model look to him? No.
Well, I don't think so.
But he's very attractive.
Yeah, but I think a lot of that is that confidence that he...
Oh, okay, the confidence factor works for
think
him. His light shines bright within, like a river phoenix.
You could say that.
Right.
Just look at him.
He's very confident, like we explained before. So maybe that was even going on back then, even when he was a kid.
Yeah.
That
maybe.
special something, the it factor, he was displaying at that point. Excuse me, that time in his life. His parents divorced when he was young.
I think he was 12.
12 years old, they divorced. And what happened was the dad,
Gone.
Gone. Another
he
theme, right?
He says he was just never close to his dad.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you're about to get into that now. But
well, because the parents broke up at 12, he was 12, the mom had to take on 3 jobs to support the family. That is a lot of responsibility for anyone.
That's a lot.
The dad deciding to leave the family left the family, Tom Cruise's family.
I think she left him, but he just disappeared.
Okay.
I think.
Okay.
That's what I have.
But from what I gather, he pretty much stayed out of Tom's life
Oh, he was gone.
after that.
For 10 years.
Yeah, and I was going to get into that a little later. Might as well get into it now. But I think that when he was 22, I think, when his dad died, and right before he died, do you know that story? I think
A little bit.
Tom Cruise got a phone call, said that your dad's dying. I don't know who it was from. Might have been the mom. Who knows? Your father's dying. He wants to see you. And Tom's like, oh, they asked him, do you want to see him? I mean, he's dying, and it's your decision. I mean, we're letting you know that he's dying. It's up to you. If you want to go see him, he wants to see you. And Tom's like, yeah, of course I want to see my dad.
Okay.
He's not been a part of my life, but he's my dad. I want to see him. And I guess he brought like a little gift. I guess the two of them had like an inside joke about. And he brought this little gift. And the two of them, they sat down at the hospital room and they had a nice little conversation, got to laughing. And he said that he pushed all of the negative stuff that he felt about his dad and pushed it aside and felt to himself, you know what? I'm not blaming anybody for what happened. You know, my dad wasn't around, so what? I still love him. He's my dad. And before he passed, he made peace with the fact that his dad wasn't around. You know, anybody could be like, fuck you. And I'm sure a lot of kids have done that, right? I don't know if I know anybody that's kind of not been a part of their lives, the dad, and they're like, oh, fuck them. I don't even talk to them. Like our brother, stepbrother, Brian, has nothing to do with his father because he left the family.
Right.
You know, our stepbrothers and sisters, you know, our brothers, I would call them brothers and sisters now, they grew up like that, you know. Denise raised them on her own, and he has nothing to do with his father. And this could be the same thing, but he felt, you know what, I thought there was a nice little story.
Yeah.
And it plays into his Magnolia role.
No shit, that's the next note I have.
Yeah, it really did. And Paul Thomas Anderson, who did the film, casted Cruise. And Cruise, when they got to that scene, he's like, PTA, did you dig up on me? Did you know about this? He's like, no, I swear to God, I didn't know. He goes, well, this is very similar to what happened with my own dad.
Yeah.
And that's why I think it's such an emotional scene. But we'll get into Magnolia.
Yeah, we can do that later.
Yeah.
'cause-
Is there something you want to touch on?
No, you know, like I said, there's not a whole lot about his early life that I found.
Okay.
You know, it's
If
pretty
you-
basic. Well,
Go ahead.
At 14, he grew up Catholic,
Yes.
and at 14, he wanted to be a priest.
Yes.
And
Yes.
he did enroll into some sort of.
St. Francis Monastery.
There you go.
In Cincinnati, Ohio.
Only 4 hours away
Yes.
from us. Mm-hmm. And he didn't make it. Like 1 year later, he got kicked out. I think he stole alcohol or something like
No.
that. No.
From what I get, he spent a year there, and what I think happened was, he's a very confident guy. He likes control, and the fact that being a priest kind of fascinated him at first. The whole idea, the power factor of being a priest. Priests hold a lot of power. If you want to believe that or not, they do. When a priest walks in the room, everybody sort of just kind of stands up straight or looks round.
Right.
Oh my God, it's
Right.
a priest. Just like a cop walks in the room. That power factor fascinated him for a bit. But like you said, 14 years old, right? What happens when you're around 14, Dave?
Well, he's already kissing girls at 10. I mean,
You reach puberty. And I think he soon realized that being celibate for the rest of his life, that's
Sounds awful.
Yeah, that's a hell of a choice you're making. And I think that he just was like, okay, I tried it. I don't think that's for me. And he made that decision at the right time and ended up leaving the monastery. Him being a priest, I mean, I don't know. That's pretty out there. But he considered it.
moving on.
Moving on from that. Go ahead.
So I mean, he got into acting because he was wrestling in high school, and I think he fucked up his knee or something pretty good.
I think it was wrestling. He messed up his leg in some way. His
Yeah,
knee.
and that's what got him into acting.
Yes, and he was also big into football. He played varsity football as a linebacker, and he was also very into soccer. And his soccer coaches would say that when they would lose a game, he was pissed.
Oh, of course.
He was angry. Where the other kids are like sad or, oh, we lost the game. He would get the team together and yell at them and tell them they're not doing what they're supposed to do.
No big surprises
Yes.
there.
And you had to be on top of your game when you were around Tom Cruise playing sports because he had to win. And that was important to him. So when he hurt his leg, he tried acting, right? Theater. What was his first role? Do you remember? Or what play?
No, I don't.
Guys and Dolls, musical.
Okay.
So he got a taste of the theater. And another note here I have about his mom. His mom was in the arts, okay? And he had a high respect for her because of what she did with the family. And she would do workshops, theatrical workshops. And he says he remembers acting like animals. You know how you do that in acting school? You act like an animal. You become the animal. Sense memory stuff he was doing at an early age. He would go and do imitations in the backyard and have like a crowd of kids come around. He would do Woody Woodpecker and things like that. Just to, have fun with everybody and perform even back then. So...
Okay.
As far as his early childhood goes, I think that's about it because he didn't go to college. He decided he loved acting so much Guess what? He moves to New York City. Mm-hmm. Get this. I didn't know this.
I didn't know either.
Go ahead, say it.
He went to the neighborhood playhouse?
He wanted to go to the neighborhood
But he
playhouse.
studied with Sanford Meisner.
No, he studied with an associate of Sanford Meisner, but he studied the Meisner technique.
That's not what I have. I read that he studied with Sanford Meisner.
I know that he
And
wanted...
maybe it was skewed up where it was just like the technique that he learned.
Because when he was in New York, it was early 80s, so Meisner was around.
Yeah.
My notes, from what I understand, he couldn't get into the Playhouse because they didn't have enough money. So what he did, he just had like a private coach instead that was more affordable, and he learned the Meisner technique.
Okay.
I think for a few years, he studied under this coach, acting coach.
Mm-hmm.
He bussed tables for a few years in New York City. Tom Cruise was bussing tables in New York City, and that's kind of interesting. Yeah, that's
Wish
a
I
weird
had
look.
a time machine. Just feel like you have no idea what you're gonna make of yourself, young man.
I know, right? Like it was a bus boy.
Take my plate.
Yeah, take my plate, Tom.
So,
So it's weird kind of picturing him as a bus boy, but he was. And then after a few years, he decided that he had enough confidence to go out and audition. And it took him 6 months to get his first role. What a lucky bastard.
Wow.
It takes guys years, women, actresses, years to get anything. So he got the Endless Love role. That was his first role. And then, of course, Taps.
Okay.
And I believe that was 82.
I think it came out in 83, but he was probably filming in 82 or something
82.
like that.
And do you want to talk about that?
I never seen it.
Taps? You've never seen Taps?
I've never seen Taps. And I know you own it too, don't you? You had it like on
did.
VHS or something.
I probably did.
I don't know how I never watched it.
It's a good movie.
I love Sean Penn and Timothy Hutton.
Timothy Hutton is fantastic.
Really
Tom
good.
Cruise, he has a decent role. And he says that when he got the role, when he was cast, he had a total of 3 lines when he first started filming.
This I did read about.
Do you want to go ahead and...
Just knowing that, like, he only had a few lines, but he was so good that they're like, we need to get him in more scenes.
They wanted him to take over another character in the movie. They approached Tom and they said, this other actor, he's not really doing that good of a job. Would you want to do it? He says, I'm not stepping on anybody's toes. That's his role? No, I'm not doing it.
Wow.
So what happened? They fired the other actor, so Tom had to do it.
Okay.
They wanted him that bad for the role, they fired the other guy. And Tom's like, well, since you fired him, I guess I'll take it. But
Wow.
yeah, so that's how he got...
Unbelievable.
Yeah, he was that guy. They wanted him so bad for it. They felt that the other guy sucked, and Tom would be much better, and he was. So...
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I didn't read that.
So,
I just knew that they wanted him to have a bigger role.
Yeah.
I didn't. Okay.
So then, Risky Business was next, 1983, right? He auditioned.
Yeah, well, there's The Outsiders. I don't know if that came first.
Oh, you're right. It did.
Yeah,
I'm
it
sorry.
had to have come from, with an all-star cast. Sorry if you hear the background noise. That's my dog upstairs being a dick. He's got a lot of energy. And he's only one.
He's a cockapoo, right?
He's a cockapoo.
So yeah, he's all over the place. He's a puppy still. So if you hear any background noise
Or crying.
in that Robin Williams episode we did,
You could hear him up
You could
there.
hear him crying at the door.
Fucking bastard. But no, he's awesome.
No, he's a good dog. You know dogs.
Yeah,
I have a dog
he's-
too, as you know. Sirius. And he's a pain in the ass too. He's a good dog, but they're like kids. Sometimes they're worse than kids. Ridiculous.
Anywho.
But you know what? Talking about The Outsiders, you got Francis Ford Coppola directing it, and I'm sure he was flattered to get that.
Oh, of course.
And look at
he's working with...
that cast.
at the time, there
weren't
was a
that
lot
big.
of unknown. I think the only one known was Matt Dillon.
Yes.
And maybe Patrick Swayze. Maybe.
I'm trying to think if Red Dawn came out before The Outsiders. It might have. I think
Maybe.
it did. So Patrick Swayze was definitely in the business. And if you don't know anything about Patrick Swayze, his mother was a big dance teacher. Patrick Swayze's mother taught John Travolta how to dance in Urban Cowboy. And Patrick Swayze was actually helping out with the whole process. Was in a few scenes of Urban Cowboy dancing with all the other cowboys.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, in the movie. And so you got Patrick Swayze, Rob Lowe, Emilio Estevez,
Ralph Macchio.
who did awesome in that movie. It's underrated.
Machio?
Oh God, yeah.
Nah.
His looks left him. You can't have that boyish
Well,
look to him, right?
I didn't. I didn't.
You never
The only
cared
thing
for
I
him?
liked him in was probably Karate Kid, and that's probably about it.
My Cousin Vinny, but it's not a big role.
No,
It's Joe Pesci's movie, right?
Yeah,
Marissa Tomei.
I didn't really care for him in Outsiders. But anyways,
Really? You didn't think he did a good job as
he
Johnny?
was okay.
Oh, I thought he did a great job.
Oh, and then of course Ponyboy. What's his name?
Oh,
Thomas-
C. Thomas
C-
Howell.
C. Thomas Howell?
C. Thomas. Yeah, C.
Something
Thomas
weird
Howell.
like that. But yeah, he was. But anyways, I mean, that was probably his really big break.
Yeah, I think so.
To then get the role for Risky Business.
Yeah, and I want to point out in The Outsiders, when they're getting all pumped up to go to the Rumble, okay, and they're running outside, Tom Cruise jumps on a... Does he jump on a car? And he does a flip off of the
Yeah.
car. He flips off the car. I always thought that was so cool. And I didn't... and his part in that movie isn't that big.
No,
He plays
really small.
Rob Lowe's friend. They work at the same gas station together. Mm-hmm. Okay, so whenever Rob Lowe's kind of around, Tom Cruise is always kind of around. Seemed to be lagging around in the background. He chipped his tooth for the film or something.
Well, no, I think he fucked up his. And I thought I wrote this down, but I'm not sure. He fucked it up playing hockey, floor hockey or something, as a teenager.
Okay,
And he didn't get his teeth fixed till later on.
so that was
But
real.
It was, yeah, that's how his teeth really looked at that time.
And you don't see the.
He may have
good
had a
look.
cap that maybe they removed.
Okay,
I'm not,
I think that's what
I'm
it
not
was.
exactly sure.
Okay.
But his teeth, for a while, he wore braces, even when he was a mega star. I think he got braces then even. It was always kind of an issue.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so The Outsiders. If you've never seen it, and I think most of you have because of the book, okay, most kids have to read that book in school.
Well, they did when we were in school.
Madeline did.
Oh, did she?
Yes, and
No shit.
I revisited The Outsiders because she read the book,
It's such a good book.
and she's like, "Dad, there's a movie about this." I said, "Oh, I know."
Well, I bought it for you.
Yeah,
It was like the extended version where they have all the scenes that they cut out from Rob Lowe.
Yes, that was
Which is a whole other. That's a whole
Oh,
other story,
God.
though.
Rob Lowe, yeah, that story.
He had so many more lines and scenes in that movie. And when they went to see it for the first time, he's like, "What the fuck happened to all my scenes? They're all gone."
Oh, that's gonna be heartbreaking.
So he was, he was,
I'd be
man.
pissed.
He was like, anyways, we're getting off.
Yeah, Risky Business, 83.
Yes.
Okay. You want to talk about the Risky Business?
No, you go ahead, man.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay. Risky Business was the casting process, I guess, was a little hectic. The casting director had kind of reservations about having Tom Cruise in there. The outsider guy, the one with the chipped tooth.
That guy?
That Taps guy, he was in Taps, he was kind of a dick. I don't know if I want him for this movie. Well, I guess there's this other producer on the film that said, you won't regret it. At least have him come in, do the audition. He got the role, and then the rest is history, folks, because he exploded after this movie. When you think about that scene where he comes sliding in, singing to, what's his name?
Bob Seger.
Bob Seger, that song. He made that song popular. And
the sunglasses.
the sunglasses look.
Dude, those went fucking, like, everybody was wearing them because of that movie. They Ray-Bans, I think.
Is that what they were?
I think.
That exploded off the shelves, I'm
Yeah.
sure. There's a story about Risky Business. Rebecca De Mornay plays the prostitute that he falls in love with. During the early progressions of making this film, Tom Cruise and Rebecca didn't have much chemistry. There wasn't that fire. And Tom Cruise was going out of his mind. He felt that their scenes, they weren't real. And he felt that the audience wouldn't see the passion between the two of them. It was needed in the film. So much so, Tom Cruise went up to the director and told him, we have to get rid of her. It's not working. And the director's like, give it some time. Tom, listen, we're not firing her. We hired her. We like her. And you're going to make it work. And he said, oh. So what did he do? What did he do? I'll tell you what he did. He got hot and heavy with Rebecca off the set. They lived together during the shoot and became an item. and their scenes are very passionate. And you could tell the fire. He made it work. When he came to a wall, first he wanted her gone. That was number one. To get rid of the problem, bring in somebody else. When the director said, deal with it, he went to step two and decided that, okay, since
Let's make it real.
we will make it work. And he did.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So that is Tom Cruise, and a little example of just how passionate, hard-driven, focused he is. And we were talking about this earlier, Dave. Right? That perfectionist thing he's got going on. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and that's another thing that I know a lot of people don't like Tom Cruise as an actor. Mm-hmm. And that's fine. I guess they have their own taste.
How could they see that?
They do, trust me. I've watched enough videos on YouTube where you read the comments, and there's so many people who are like, he's horrible. And I'm like, what?
Fuck.
No, yeah, there's literally comments, and that's fine. But you can't take away his dedication towards... He never half-assed anything in his life.
No, nothing.
And that's something you have to respect. He doesn't dick around.
Right.
He will not work with someone who just doesn't give it their all.
Right.
And I respect that. You know, he's probably maybe one of the most hardworking individuals. He ranks up there with like a Daniel Day-Lewis, who's like,
Yes.
I'm putting everything into this. You're either with me or you're out.
Yes.
And that's just how he works, and I really admire that.
Robert De Niro was another person that pops into my head. Very hardworking, someone that would gain 60 pounds for a role, not eat for a role.
Christian Bale?
Christian Bale.
How about that?
You know, he is not talked about enough in my podcasts. And shame on me.
Yeah.
Christian Bale I think is still underrated.
No.
I don't think he's...
I don't think he's underrated.
I don't put him as high as I should, I think. Christian Bale.
He's definitely, for me, probably top 5 at least.
Top 5, really?
Of all time.
See, I don't put him that high.
I would.
See, so for me,
dude,
he's
what was the
underrated.
worst performance he's ever given? Is there one?
It took me a while to get into his American Psycho role. It just did. For some reason,
Really?
I saw him in that role, and I was just like, maybe in the back of my head, I knew DiCaprio was supposed to play that role, and I kept seeing DiCaprio was like would have been perfect for that role. And I would see Christian Bale do it and go, DiCaprio would have done that better or done this better. It took me 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 times to go, I get it. I got it.
That's insane.
Fucking get it. And what's really funny about that is doing my research on Tom Cruise, I found out that Christian Bale based his character
Off of Tom Cruise.
Off of Tom Cruise's vampire movie, Lestat.
Interview with a Vampire?
Yes.
No kidding.
And I was like, interesting. I'll have to, next time I watch it, sort of remember that. And when I think back to Bale's performance in Psycho, the choices he made were very good.
Dude, all of them were good. And that's the first time I really saw him.
Yeah.
Okay, not really. He was in Newsies, and I saw that when it came out, but that doesn't really fucking count because I didn't know that was him.
No, it doesn't.
But I mean, when I saw that, I was just like, "Who the fuck is this guy?"
Yeah.
I love the movie, first of all, and I was like, the guy Patrick Bateman is phenomenal.
Oh,
Who
yeah,
is this
great
guy?
character. Yeah.
And ever since then, he has never disappointed.
Yeah.
Ever.
And it goes on par with what we're talking about with Tom Cruise. The same with Christian Bale is when that video or that audio clip came out of him yelling and screaming at the stagehand.
Yeah.
And he went off on that guy.
Brutal.
That was a big deal.
It was.
And just because he just berated this guy. But
Good for you.
You know what's really weird about that is when I heard that clip for the first time, my first thought was Christian Bale. What a dick. But do you feel the same way?
No, I didn't.
I don't now.
I was like, you know what? Well, first, I mean, it was like, wow, that's harsh. That's pretty fucked up.
It was harsh.
But when you really do put it into a perspective of like, you don't know exactly what was going on. You weren't there. I don't know what his relationship was with this guy, but obviously wasn't good, and he had enough of his shit. And it's tough to really judge someone who is in the middle of working on something and concentrating that hard, and when you're a perfectionist like that, you go on. You have a temper. I have a temper. I can't blame him for that. I could be, acting the same way towards someone like that.
I think I took away from that is that Christian Bale was doing something important. Okay? And this guy wasn't taking it seriously.
Exactly.
that pissed him off.
Exactly.
And I guarantee you that wasn't the first time it happened on the set.
It wasn't, and he even mentioned it in the whole thing. He's like, this
Yeah.
isn't the first time.
Right.
And he's like, you know, I don't want to see him again. And it's like, these guys, they need to surround themselves with people who are going to take that 100% that they're doing. Because
Right.
if you're not, get the fuck out. And I get that, man. If you're working on something
Yeah.
and you have a weak link in the member, in the team, get the fuck out.
I guess you got to respect actors like that. They take their work very seriously, and Tom Cruise is one of those actors that takes every role seriously. And like we talked about,
And we'll get into it a lot more with each of these movies. Not all of them, obviously.
we can't touch on all of his
But
movies. It would be a
there's-
5-parter. Yeah.
There's a lot that I learned about how he approached certain roles, and it's good stuff.
Do you want to dive into that now? What's the next one you have on your list?
Here, let me take a look.
Sure. This is The Actors Room with Jeff Tarowski and Dave Tarowski coming to you. Nope, not live. We're live, but we're going to be putting this out tomorrow, probably in the morning. But go ahead.
I'm skipping over Top Gun.
Oh, such a big movie. But hey, if it's not your bag,
Dude,
it's not your bag.
I'll admit, I saw it for the first time just like 3 years ago.
Oh, God, Dave, what?
And
How
I
did
didn't-
that happen?
I
In
didn't
the
like
80s?
it either.
You didn't watch in the 80s?
I
Never-
saw parts of it maybe in the
Yeah.
80s. It was just one of those movies that slipped by, and then it was like on Netflix or something. And I'm like, okay, I need to watch this, obviously.
obviously.
And it's okay. I was like, this isn't.
It's a fun movie. It's
I
a
guess.
fun movie. He took it very seriously, of course. Spent a lot of airtime.
Yeah, I
Got
know.
him
It was a
interested
lot
in
of fun
planes.
for him.
Yeah.
He was convinced after he went up with the Blue Angels and experienced
so
that.
awesome.
I would throw up
I
immediately.
would too.
But,
It sounds exciting, but I don't think it's for me.
I mean, didn't really get the whole appeal of.
Yeah. Maverick. There's a lot
Yeah.
of people out there that feel that that's their favorite Tom Cruise movie, Top Gun.
And I feel sorry for you. Like there's
Oh,
so
yeah, I know, right? Because
I can mention-
Oh my God! Because of the performances that he has given.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's a good point, Dave. So yeah, we're gonna just move on.
Yeah, you asked what I had next, and
That's right.
to me, I enjoyed Color of Money a hell of a lot more than Top Gun.
Oh,
Color of Money is
underrated. Oh, Paul Newman.
fucking
Oh my
phenomenal.
God, the story. But
It's
the
the acting.
performances
It's
are
an
rock
actor's
solid,
movie.
hard. I mean, and also Tom Cruise states that he would go 12 hours at a time practicing pool.
Yes,
It's a-
that was the note I had. He did all of his trick shots except one.
I
It
believe
was,
that.
What do I have here? Where the ball had to jump 2 balls to skip to another.
Okay.
Not exactly.
Okay. That's a tough shot.
That shot, yeah.
There's probably like 5 people in the whole world that can
but
do that shot.
He learned how to play pool. He played for 12 hours straight.
Very impressive look to him as a pool player. He looked very natural at it, damn good at it. And you could tell that when they were shooting that, filming it, that was really him playing pool. No shit. And he really studied hard to make sure that he looked the part. And guess what? He did. And that character, too, is real cocky, real flaky.
Yeah.
Real flaky kind of guy.
I love his hair, too.
His
It's
hair
fucking-
standing up. Yeah,
The
great
James
look.
Dean look.
Yeah, he had a great look to him. Him and Paul Newman bonded on set, and he has nothing but high respect for Paul Newman. Loved him. He said.
He was one of his favorite actors.
Yeah, growing up, you're right.
And I do have a note where, excuse me, I'm choking on cigarettes.
Don't eat them, Dave. Smoke them.
Tom Cruise went to audition for a role of the movie Harry and Son. I don't know of, but apparently it was a movie with Paul Newman
Okay.
where Cruise didn't get the part.
Okay.
But Paul Newman remembered him.
Oh, so he
And he,
Oh, yeah.
in the back of his mind, he remembered him for the role of Color of Money.
No shit. I love that. I didn't know that.
And-
Excellent.
They do this movie and they became very good friends.
Well, Paul Newman
And-
is an A1, first class human being. If you didn't know that about
Good
Paul
dude.
Newman, of course, you see his face on all the the spaghetti sauce stuff the Newmans own. I think we buy it. It's a staple in our household. When I have my spaghetti dinners,
You want to look at Paul Newman.
I look at Paul Newman every time I make a spaghetti dinner. And all that stuff is donations. It goes to charities. He was big into charities. And Tom Cruise said it opened his eyes a bit more on helping other people. And Paul Newman sort of showed him that.
Yeah.
And he said in an interview he actually loved Paul Newman. Still does.
I'm sure he did.
Just because he's dead doesn't mean he can't stop loving them. He loves Paul Newman. Big part of his life in the early stages of his career. So I don't know how much more you want to talk about Color of Money. I don't think he was nominated for that. He should have been. That's a shame. I know Paul Newman won the Academy Award for Color of Money, though. His first and only. Actually, that's a disgrace. Good Lord. Okay, so what's the next one after Color of Money?
Then he did Cocktail.
Cocktail I enjoy.
I know, and it was a huge flop. That was the movie.
It was a flop?
When we were talking at the bar,
Was that the one?
I was like, there was a movie I can't think of that was like a huge flop, because he doesn't have many flops, but Cocktail was a flop.
I enjoyed the movie.
I did too. I was like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
It's not bad. He has really good moments in there.
Yep.
Elizabeth Shue, which
Oh, yeah. She's gorgeous.
beautiful.
And the fact that he was behind the bar, flipping the glasses and twirling the bottles of liquor and just showing his athletic ability once again, showcasing his talents, not only within his ability to grab other characters and take on a role seriously, he got to showcase his ability to just be athletic, physical, show his skills at doing things, being limber, doing maybe certain things that other actors just can't do. Tom Cruise takes great pleasure in placing in his roles his special talents, things that he works on.
He likes to show off.
He does. He loves
Look what
to
I
show-
could do,
Yeah.
type of thing.
He's very confident in portraying that about himself, where other people may not. He has no problem at all showing us what he can do. And that's a good example of Cocktail right there. Good movie. Hey, if you've never seen it, and I'm sure you have, if you're a Tom Cruise fan,
Yeah,
I'm sure you have.
it may be one that some people are like, yeah, I'm okay not seeing this. But
Kinda corny.
it may surprise you. I know it surprised me, because I went in expecting nothing at all. So maybe that's why it was okay.
Well, when was the first time you saw it?
Probably, I would say late 90s.
Oh, okay. So it was a while ago. It wasn't recent.
It was a while ago.
Yeah. Yeah. I watched it as a kid.
And just a fun note,
Okay.
who was considered
Oh, really?
for the role? This blew my mind.
Okay.
Jim Carrey.
What? That would have been awful. Love you, Jim, but no. No.
That would have been interesting.
No. Tom Cruise is perfect for that role.
And also Charlie Sheen, which I could have seen.
Charlie Sheen
that
would
I
have done
could
pretty well, I think.
But Jim Carrey, especially during that time, he wasn't like in '88. He was like not even on In Living
did-
Color. He was just doing
Earth Girls are...
Easy
Yeah.
and the one with Nicolas Cage. Peggy Sue Got Married.
Peggy Sue Got Married, he did.
So I mean, he did some movies. I know.
Remember that one movie, Once Bitten? Where he
Yeah,
was a
that's
vampire?
right. That's right.
That's like a hidden gem film of Jim Carrey's you've
cult
never
classic.
seen. Yeah, Once Bitten. I actually watched it. Gosh, I think it was a few years ago. It was on Netflix. I'm like, holy shit, Once Bitten. So that's a good Jim Carrey gem of a film. If you've never seen that one,
Fucking had to be like 18 years, 20
he
years
was
old.
He was young,
Very young.
Yeah, doesn't even look like him.
I need to.
Okay, yeah, we're gonna take a little break and we're gonna be right back.
Yep.
Okay, we're back. We got a beer. We got another cigarette going. Well, Dave does. I'll get one on in a little bit. So we're gonna continue on, and the next up film for Tom Cruise we're gonna talk about is Rain Man. And what year was that? 88?
Yeah.
Wow, I can't believe it. Off the top of my head.
Reportedly one of Princess Diana's favorite movies.
Now, that's a big deal, right?
I think so.
Princess
I had
Diana,
I had to mark that down because that's pretty significant. And recently watched this again
Okay.
a couple weeks ago.
All right.
My girlfriend, she hadn't seen it before.
Okay.
Like most movies, she's
She's just not in
not good with the movies.
Yeah.
And even she liked it. She doesn't like movies. It reminded me how fucking great this movie is.
I think I remember watching this as a kid with our parents, and I remember our dad, and he's not big into the critic stuff, talking about movies. He enjoys movies.
No,
yes,
he's not a movie
but
guy.
not like our mom was more into the arts. Okay, that's where we got a lot of our artistic stuff, I think. Although my dad's side of the family drew and stuff like that. My mom's side of the family, a lot with music and performing and dancing and all that stuff. So my dad, I remember Dad just being like, "This is not only a great movie," and he enjoyed the movie very much. He was very impressed with Tom Cruise, and more so me as well. For some reason, all the stuff that he had done before, which was all good, very good. This role, this character, it was something different for him. He seemed like he was really in control of that character and how confident that character was, and it played into his performance. And my dad ended up getting the soundtrack of that film. Remember that?
Yes.
He freaking loved that soundtrack.
We heard it a lot.
Like, we go on trips,
Yeah.
and he'd be playing on the radio, on the cassette, whatever, in the van as we're driving to Florida, that journey that we would go through. But we had this conversion van, and we'd be playing Rain Man soundtrack back to back. He loved it. He loved everything about that movie, and so we grew up watching it, loving it. Dustin Hoffman. I mean, are you fucking kidding me?
It's a gem. I mean, if you've never seen it, what the fuck are you doing?
Right.
First of all,
It's a classic. I would consider
but
it a classic.
it's great that, I mean, Tom Cruise in probably 90% of this movie is
Yeah.
a complete fucking asshole.
Oh, he's a dick.
In the relationship that he has with Raymond, I mean, it's because the whole movie you're rooting for him to like stop being an asshole.
Right.
And finally, at the very end, it's so emotional. That part where Dustin Hoffman leans his head onto Tom Cruise, improvised. You know,
Improvised.
that was not written in there.
Because Dustin Hoffman's character is a savant. What did he have? He had a. There was a.
It was autistic.
Autistic. Yeah.
Savant, and based on a real person too.
Based on a true story. And the thing with this guy is he doesn't like human contact. Like, he doesn't like people touching him. Like, you don't touch him. So what Dave brought up there at the end of the film, they were connecting. And it was a choice that I believe Dustin Hoffman made in that scene to lean towards Tom Cruise. They're sitting right next to each other, sitting down at a table, and Tom Cruise is sort of spilling his heart out, finally connecting with Dustin Hoffman's character. Tell him that he loves him. I like you as having, a big brother. And he meant it. For the first time, probably, in the whole movie, right?
Yeah, it's what you're waiting for the whole movie.
And Dustin Hoffman decided they were kind of close together, but he leaned into him, and their heads touched. And that was a big deal in the movie. Like, oh my God, they're making contact. There's a connection. Very sweet moment in the film, and I watched that clip today,
Oh yeah.
and it made me tear up a little bit. I'll be honest with you. It was a touching scene.
There was a lot of reluctancy of making this movie. Both of them were
I
just.
think you're right.
They were both like in between takes. Be like, no one's gonna see this.
Oh,
Like
man.
I can't remember the exact words that they used, but like two morons in a car. Who the hell's gonna watch this? You know?
Yeah, Kmart.
Yeah, they didn't really believe in it almost at the time.
That's crazy to think about.
It is because
it just worked.
because of the dedication not only from Tom Cruise because that's what he does, but
Right.
obviously Dustin Hoffman,
Yeah, he's crazy.
crazy good
On another
I mean,
level than Tom Cruise, I think Dustin Hoffman is just
so believable.
neurotic in his work. That method that he uses, he's a true method actor, Dustin Hoffman, but like real crazy, stupid into method acting. It's really hard to work with someone like Dustin Hoffman as opposed to Tom Cruise. I think
They
you
are
mentioned
different in how they probably approach, but their dedication
that is the same.
is the same. When they rehearse, they would switch roles even.
What? Mm-hmm. I would love to see that.
I know.
I wonder if that's on special features.
Nah, I don't know if it
No.
was recorded.
That'd be fun to watch. The
That would
two
be
of them
great to
doing
see.
that.
But
Wow.
I mean, I'm sure when it came to like work ethics, I mean, they were on the same page.
That's why it worked.
Of course.
They worked well together, obviously. And I remember there was some sort of a dedication ceremony to Dustin Hoffman in the late 90s I watched over at a buddy's house. And they were honoring Dustin Hoffman. And Tom Cruise was sort of the MC, running the
Nice.
whole thing. And Tom Cruise drifted away from the microphone, and then Dustin Hoffman got up and said something after they, acclaimed him and all that stuff. And he gave us a little speech, and at the end, he turned around, he looked at Tom Cruise, and he pointed at him and he said, "You better take notice of this guy because he is special, very special. And one day he'll be standing where I am today, and you're going to be honoring him someday." And then the Tom Cruise, of course, has smiled.
Yeah, of course.
It's like his whole face.
That shit-eating grin on his face.
Yeah, baby. Yeah. Bring it. Yeah, let's bring it. So, yeah, there you go. A good example of his hard work and dedication once again on Rain Man. And you want to move on, or you have something?
A quick,
Sure.
Like when Dustin Hoffman farts in the phone booth, that was
Okay.
improvised. He really did fart
did
at one
fart.
point. And Tom Cruise, how do you deal with that?
He farted in that. Oh, that Tom shit sucked.
I thought that was cool. I like stuff like that. I like, you know.
Yeah, you like hearing about it.
I
Yeah.
do, you know.
It's good stuff.
Next up. They originally wrote it for Randy Quaid and Dennis Quaid. I wonder who was going to play who.
Is that true?
That's
That
what
was
I,
originally written for the Quaid brothers.
That's what I have here.
So you would have Dennis be Tom Cruise's character, I would assume.
Obviously.
Because,
Come on,
I mean, Randy
man.
Quaid's just kind of a goofy...
He would have.
How those two came from the same parents? Dennis Quaid, like this, I don't know, athletic-looking, good-looking guy.
And
right?
he seems normal and down to earth, and Randy
Yes,
Quaid is on
just-
another fucking planet.
A great actor. They're both great actors in their own right.
I mean, Dennis is. Yeah, I guess they're both good.
They're both good.
in different ways.
Yes.
Let's just put it that
It's
way.
just strange that they're brothers. Like Sean Penn and his brother,
Yeah, Chris.
they also kind of like the same deal.
Kind of.
One's kind of big and goofy, and the other one's just, normal kind of look to them. But anyways,
We'll move on
Moving
to,
on.
In my opinion,
okay.
this is the most important movie Tom Cruise has ever made.
Okay.
Born on the 4th of July.
Yeah. It's
This-
an intense film. Hard to watch for me sometimes.
Oh, it's not. Yeah,
It
this
is.
is a tough movie to watch. I remember struggling watching this because I didn't know what to expect. I didn't really know. But he is
All over the place in this movie. Emotional.
his best acting.
Probably
I
because
would-
of the fact that it's so emotional. What he went through in Vietnam, and then he came home and sort of had to deal with everything.
Yeah, well, if you've never seen it,
And probably most people haven't. I'll be honest with you. Well, not
yeah.
saying most, but some.
It's based off of the memoir by Ron Kovic.
Yeah.
Born on the 4th of July, and it's about his experience in Vietnam, and
Yep.
more importantly, it's actually what happened after he got
that's
home.
what I think. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
That's
I
the
mean,
most
it's a
important
small part of what happens in
In
Vietnam,
yeah.
and he did get shot twice. He got shot in the foot, and he got shot in the back,
Yeah.
and he got paralyzed because of that from the waist down.
Yep.
So there's a lot to talk about with this movie.
A lot going on.
So he wrote this book, and originally they were going to do a movie in 1978
Whoa.
starring Al Pacino.
Okay. I can see that.
As
Yeah.
Kovic.
Okay.
But it fell through 4 days before they were about to start shooting.
Man, did they say what happened? Why it didn't get made?
I think something about budget.
Okay.
It just didn't work out.
happens.
These things happen.
Oh, that happens a lot.
And they crushed him.
Al
And-
Pacino?
Or
the guy who wrote the book?
Probably, but yeah, Ron Kovic,
Okay.
who wrote the book, and Oliver Stone was involved with the screenplay. He wasn't very established. Stone at this time in '78, he hadn't done much.
No, not
and
much.
he told Kovic, he's like, "Listen, if I ever make it and I get the opportunity, we're gonna do
We're
this
gonna
movie."
fucking do this. Yeah, I won't forget about it.
After he did Platoon,
Oh,
he was able to do this
Of
movie
course.
and held his promise
Interesting.
of doing it. And at the time, Pacino's too old. They had to move on. They got Tom Cruise.
and what year is this? 89?
This is '89.
Okay, and
When it came out.
it came out in 89. And so, what's his name? Oliver Stone directed it
Yes.
and wrote it?
The
The screenplay?
Right.
Shit.
Yeah.
That's Oliver Stone for you. That guy's a maniac.
And people are like, "Well, you just did Platoon. Why are you doing another movie?" And he's
Yeah.
like, "Well, this is kind of
A
Platoon
promise.
is about Vietnam, the war.
The whole movie is in Vietnam.
This
Yeah.
whole it's like the aftermath. What happened to these guys after the war? He
Yeah.
wanted to do a movie about, and what better way to do it with Born on the 4th of July?
There are certain scenes in that you could actually see Tom Cruise like hurting on the inside. Like,
And he was.
I mean, like you could see it coming through his face, his arms, like, and he didn't have his legs to use. So it seemed like because his legs weren't being used, he like used the upper part of his body in every way imaginable to communicate like what he was feeling. And I'm sure he went to the ringer with this part.
And he did. I mean, he was dedicated to the point where, I mean, he was in a wheelchair even when they weren't filming.
Yeah.
He was preparing
Yeah.
like that. And really wanted the approval of Ron.
The writer of the book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kovic was on the set
I'm
a lot.
sure every day.
And Cruise was always coming up to him and be like, how am I doing? And, you know, is there anything else I have to do different? And, I mean, Kovic absolutely was like, wow. I mean, he's looking at Cruise, who looks just like him, you know, 20 years earlier or 10 years earlier, and had nothing but great things to say about his performance.
It should.
But he's like, it wouldn't have worked if it wasn't for Tom Cruise's passion and persistence to make it right. And
Amen.
to do it right.
Amen.
And of note,
Okay.
that scene where he's in the hospital and he's losing it with the nurses is just like, you know, I want my leg. They wanted to cut off his leg.
Yeah.
And he's just like, I want my leg. I want to keep it. I mean, he's really losing it.
Yeah.
Because he was really suspended like that for like all day. And he's like, it does something to you.
I'm sure.
You know,
Yeah.
he's like, he said he's not a big Stanislavski
Yeah. That
technique method.
The Russian.
But he's like, at that point, it happened for him.
It happened. Man. Internally, it just came out of the shit.
Yeah.
And everything that he was feeling. And that scene where he's in his house with his family, and he's just a mess.
Losing it, and his mom kicks him out.
Yeah. He's like, we weren't supposed to kill children. And
Thou shalt not kill.
yeah. And his mom doesn't want to hear it. You know, and thou shalt not kill. A very emotional scene. Every time I see that, man, it just takes something
it's
out
a
of
tough
me.
movie to watch, but man,
It is. Whew. And
anyone who thinks, any of you morons out there who thinks Tom Cruise is a bad actor, you watch this movie.
watch that, you'll change
I'm
your mind.
sorry.
Obviously, you've never seen that movie. If you feel that he's a bad actor, there are people out there that think he's a bad actor. You don't know anything about acting. That's my opinion. Take what you will of
I
it.
agree with you.
My brother agrees. So, I mean, I think that's just a fact. I think it's a fact. It's not an opinion. It's a fact.
And I have to say, at the end of this movie, when they were filming, the end of the filming of the movie, Kovic was, and I'm going to just read the quote that he has here.
Quote it.
I'll set this up. He gave Tom Cruise his Bronze Star from the war
You gotta be fucking
after the
kidding me.
performance. He says, in quotes, I'm extremely proud of his performance. I truly believe he becomes me. For 21 years, I had kept my Bronze Star in a box by my bed, and I always felt a little ambivalent about it. On the last day of shooting, I gave Tom my Bronze Star, the medal I won in Vietnam. I told him it was for his heroic performance.
Holy shit. That's unbelievable.
That's amazing.
Okay. And then we talked about the ego thing. That would definitely boost up your ego a little bit. If somebody from Vietnam gave you their Bronze Star because of a performance that you gave,
Yeah.
that would definitely do something to bolster up your being, the way you carry yourself, how confident you are. And this is what Tom Cruise is. It is plain as day. When you see him, he looks confident. He's a confident man.
But it also comes from his hard work. I mean,
I know, yeah, sure.
Like I said, like he made sure he got Ron's stamp of approval with everything he did, and he wanted to do it right.
Truthfully.
So it is an award. Maybe he
doesn't deserve it as far as
being
an award.
Right.
Come on,
he
man.
didn't go through war. He didn't go through those
He's
things.
an actor, but a good one.
But it was his award for his great performance, I guess. But it's a hell of a thing.
It's a
For
compliment,
Kovic
man.
to do something like that.
That's a hell of a compliment, man. Think about that.
I got kind of choked up when I read that, because Kovic is...
I didn't know that at all, man. That's a nice quote. Thanks for putting that in there. I did not know that at all. So, wow. A movie that Dave places in very high regard, in regards not only to Tom Cruise, but maybe film history. He was nominated for an Academy Award and didn't win.
Yeah, I don't know who he lost to.
I don't know who he lost to. Doesn't matter. He didn't win. He should have, I think. I think that deserved an Oscar.
Well,
he won the Golden Globe, I think.
Of all of his performances, if
Yeah.
he were to win an Oscar, is that the one, or do you think there's something else that he should have won for?
Well, I think Jerry Maguire, he should have won.
Okay.
But he has some supporting roles in, like, Interview with the Vampire. Tropic Thunder, I think, deserved an Academy Award nomination. As silly as that sounds.
Well, I don't know about an Oscar.
Well, yeah, I'm going to put this out there right now because we're probably not going to touch upon it later. When I sat down to watch Tropic Thunder, okay, for the very first time, I was alone. My wife was passed out on the couch. I put this in, I rented it, watched the whole thing. And I went outside, have a cigarette, and I'm thinking, going over my head the movie and everything. Like, wow, that was a really funny movie, and I really like that one character in that movie. I got to find out who that actor was. I didn't know. That was Tom Cruise. As fucked up as that sounds, and maybe I'm just bad at, like,
recognizing and...
But, while I was watching this actor, I'm thinking, man, he's so familiar. I can't place who he is. He's good. I mean, I love that character. And when I found out, I looked him up on IMDb, the character. I'm like, I think it was Saul was his name. And I think it was Saul. And I'm looking at it. I'm like, Saul. And I look over. It said Tom Cruise. I'm like, what the fuck? I didn't know that was Tom Cruise. That's how fucking good he is in that movie. I didn't recognize him.
Les Grossman.
Les Grossman.
But yeah, he... oh, man. And this is... I want him to do more like this. It's... Because I think he is funny. And you just don't see him as...
A comedic actor.
He never does comedy. This is like the only one he's done.
Tropic Thunder. Would you consider... What was that other one I was just thinking of? Magnolia is not a comedy.
No,
His character's funny.
Yeah, but that's not a comedy. Like, he doesn't do anything...
No, he doesn't do, like, Meet the Parents or, stupid...
He does... And he just... I feel like it's frustrating because he can. And I want to see him do more stuff like that.
Yeah.
Even if it's small parts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
because he came up with that character of, like, the big hands and really hairy bald head. I mean, it looks nothing like him.
Les Grossman was so fantastic. But getting away from the point, we were talking about the fact that you should have
we went from Born on the 4th of July to
Tropic
Thunder.
Thunder.
That's fucked up.
But it was relevant to what... the point I was making is that he really does become the character, obviously. And 4th of July is a great example of that and should have won the Academy Award, didn't. So
yeah, that was my question, actually.
Yeah.
I asked who he would...
Yeah,
if
but
one character... that he should have got an Oscar for. Right. I feel is Born on the 4th.
Yeah, that would come in a close second to Jerry Maguire. I think he deserved that one. He was nominated for that one too. But what was after 4th of July?
A Few Good Men.
Oh, this movie was on TNT for 30 straight years. Every Saturday, you could rest assured you could sit down on the couch and watch
Few Good Men.
Few Good Men, directed by Rob Reiner, co-starring Jack Nicholson, Demi Moore, Kevin Pollak, Kevin Bacon. I mean, the all-star cast. Fun movie.
Noah Wiley.
A well done movie.
That's a great movie.
I mean, just fantastic directing. The acting was spot on. The story was just great. I don't know if it was a true story, but
I think it was kind of loosely based off of a true story, but it was originally a play, and I can't think of who played Tom Cruise's character.
It was a play. I didn't know that. Okay. But, I mean, he gets to yell at Jack. I mean, he's, all over the place.
Yeah.
He was, just, you could tell in this movie, too, like, when I say he's all over the place, he basically was. He's just pacing around a lot in his character, using up the screen, really becoming a part of the film, so to speak. And do you have any notes about A Few Good Men?
Well, I have those Kevin Pollak stories.
Go ahead and tell the story about the car.
Yeah, there's...
This is classic.
Well, there's a couple. Kevin Pollak has given quite a few interviews that I've heard multiple...
And he has a podcast.
Multiple times.
He's
some
good.
of these stories.
He's funny as hell.
Dude, I love Kevin Pollak.
Oh, he's so funny.
He's great.
Yeah.
He also has a book out that's been out for a while. It's called How I Slept My Way to the Middle. I highly recommend it.
I like that.
It's great. But he loved working with Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
And there's first the pen story.
Oh,
So
yeah,
if you
okay.
haven't heard
Do that.
this one, and this goes to show what kind of person Tom Cruise is. Both of these stories, really. But during rehearsal, Kevin Pollak needed to use Tom Cruise's pen, and he was just saying, he's like, man, this pen is fucking great. He's like, the way it writes, it flows.
It's a beautiful pen.
And Tom Cruise is like, that's a $500 pen. He's like, it should, whatever.
$500 pen, people. $500 pen. Okay.
So Tom Cruise sends him a package. It's one of these pens, and Kevin Pollak has it on his mantle.
Instead of using it.
He's like, holy shit, $500 pen. I'm not going to use any of this ink. Tom Cruise gets word of this, that it's just on his mantle, so he bought him another pen.
Another $500 pen.
So one he could use.
That's a great story.
But the other story was some car, and I didn't write it down what car that Kevin Pollak wanted to get.
I wonder how much it cost.
Some really expensive car. It was like a
customized.
It was like a 2-month wait or so to get it.
Wow.
And he wanted to get it right away, but
and this is Kevin Pollak wanted to get the car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he wanted to. He called all these dealerships, and no one's like, yeah, we can't do that. It's like 2-3 month wait to get it. And on the last call, he's like, I've never done this before. He's like, I've never done it since. But he's just like, listen, I'm doing this movie with Tom Cruise and Jack Nicholson, Demi Moore. If you drop off the car at the set, I could get you to meet them. You can meet Tom Cruise. You'll get his picture and stuff. And the guy's like, all right.
Give me Tom Cruise?
I'll be there, tomorrow, 1:00, So the next day, Pollak's like, shit,
Gotta pull this off?
I gotta pull this off, without being a dick.
Making promises you may not keep.
And he's telling Tom Cruise about it, and he's like, this car, and I'm sorry, I wish I knew what the car was, but, Tom Cruise loves cars and everything, loves everything.
He just loves everything.
And Tom Cruise is like, oh yeah, man, I love that car. He's like, it's gonna be here today? 1:00? Yeah, man, I can't. He's like, Pollak's like, yeah, you even want to drive it? He's like, yeah, I want to drive it. He's like, I'll let you drive it first. He's like, really? So anyways, it's like 1:45, and Cruise is going up to Pollak like, is he here yet? Is he here? He's like, no, man, it's not 1 yet. It's like 1:00. He's like, is he here yet, man? What's going on? It's 1:00. Where's this guy? Where's your car?
He's freaking out.
I mean, he's fucking excited about this car. And Pollak's like, no, he's not here. 1:30, this guy finally rolls around. Dude, Cruise runs past Pollak, greets the guy, opens the guy's door. He's like, where you at, man? Where you been? It's 1:30. What the hell? You said you'd be here at 1:00. Guy's like, oh, there's traffic, obviously, and Cruise is like, you gotta factor that in, man. You gotta factor that in.
That's so funny how excited he was for that car, and how neurotic he was at this guy for being late. How dare you? I was so excited, like a little kid.
Dude, Tom Cruise has never been late, ever.
I'm sure he hasn't. Never.
It's the rumor I've heard. He's always been on time. So when someone's late, he's like, what the fuck, man?
That is unacceptable.
It's unacceptable.
In my world.
Yes. So those are some...
That's some great stories, though, man.
Kevin Pollak, by the way.
Oh, man. And a glimpse into, Tom Cruise, who he is as a person, I think. That's a great example, behind-the-scenes
stuff. Of
who
he is.
Yeah.
He's too passionate, maybe.
Yeah, I think he goes a little over the top. I think. Not only in his films, but just in real life. He goes over the top. And I explained to Dave, it would be kind of weird to be around someone like that all the time, positive. It's like, dude, can't you be a little negative sometimes? I mean, I don't know if that would get to me. That uppity up, it's just fantastic.
Well,
and, settle down, dude. It's like a dog.
But it could be a good thing,
Well, yeah, I mean, it's definitely good for your self-esteem. And you mentioned, too, earlier that when we were talking before the podcast, that as a person, he's 100% into everything. He wants to know about you. If he's sitting down with you, he wants to know all about you. He's interested. It's no bullshit.
That's
right?
true. Almost everybody who's talked about him has said how he's so good at conversation. He really does want to know about people. He's fascinated with people.
Yeah,
he really is.
He likes to know about that. And watching the Actors Studio, the Actors Studio thing that he did, the interview, there were a couple of things that I wanted to point out. He stated that he's interested in people, and he's he's always around people that have problems, and people that know about his childhood and how it was kind of rough for him. They come up to him and say, we know you had a lot of negative things in your life, and don't you wish you had a normal life? And he says, well, I've met many people in my lifetime, and not one of them has had a normal life.
Exactly.
Everybody's got shit going on, and we do the best we can to turn it around and make it positive, and that's what I do with my life.
Yeah.
And in that interview, he stated that he cares about the human element in his acting. He is focused on learning and growing. That's the most important thing. Not only as an artist, but a human being. Who am I? Where is my voice? And I'm open to mistakes if it helps me grow. Mm-hmm. So a little glimpse into just a little like from him himself, not having us just talk about Tom Cruise, but hearing something from him, and that's who he really is as a person. So let's go ahead and move on to the next.
The next one was in 94.
94.
Do you know which one this is?
Is it 94? Is probably McGuire?
No.
No.
Interview with the Vampire.
Oh, hear that? Do you hear that? That's clapping. You know why?
Jeff fucking loves this movie.
Now, I love the movie, but I love Tom Cruise's character the most.
Yeah.
Coming out of this movie, I was just so pleasantly surprised once again. Like, something different that he's doing. The character was fantastic. Brad Pitt was really bad in this movie, I thought. I mean, maybe it was just because Tom Cruise was so really, really good, and Brad Pitt just wasn't on his...
No, he was not good in this movie.
No,
and I like
right?
Brad Pitt.
I love Brad Pitt, too.
It's not my favorite performance of his.
He failed in that role. I hate to say it, but he kind of failed. And maybe it was just... Was he intimidated acting alongside Cruise? Because, I mean, that's Brad Pitt's movie.
Yeah, it is. I mean...
Cruise played a minor role.
He just acted around him.
Oh, God. If you've never seen the vampire movie... Just watch it for Tom Cruise's performance. Are there any notes about?
There's a lot of cool tidbits.
Go for it.
The makeup was really intense.
Yeah.
It took 3.5 hours to get the makeup done.
They had to make him look really pale.
I heard they hung all the vampires that played in the movie.
Yeah.
The actors that played vampires, I should say.
Antonio Banderas was one of them. Yeah.
They hung them upside down.
Whoa!
So the blood would rush to their head.
What?
And their veins would pop out, and they would use that for the makeup. So very intense.
Wow.
I mean,
let's take it to the
Brad
next level.
Pitt did say this was a horrible movie to work on just because of the weather conditions and just the whole atmosphere was rough for him. Maybe that kind of shines through in his performance.
Okay, I can.
Tom Cruise is just like, fucking bring it. Yeah, I love it.
This is all great. This is great stuff.
Yeah. Being cold is great. I love it.
Brad, come on, Brad.
Upside down. Yes, I like being.
We're having fun, Brad. Come on.
But yeah, it was intense. I have a note here that Tom Cruise prepped for the role by watching lions attacking zebras.
Whoa, okay.
To kind of get into that frame mind of an animal,
like just gnawing away at another thing. Like he had to kind of get that into his mind
to be an animal, to hunt and kill.
He saw himself maybe as animal.
Sure.
And that's pretty much what Brad Pitt's character was going through in the movie, having to deal with the fact that he was evil, bad, and dealing with that whole idea. Just the premise of it, and it's a vampire movie, people, okay? But it's done very well, I thought. As far as vampire movies go, compared to the Edward Cullen vampire movies with Robert Pattinson, that was a big hit.
Twilight.
It
wasn't for me.
Yeah, Interview is very good. You got Christian Slater in a small role.
Yeah, which was originally for River Phoenix.
Yes.
But he died really shortly before. It was last minute thing that got Slater in there.
Yeah.
In which Slater donated, I think, $500,000 of his salary to 2 charities of River Phoenix's.
Very well done by Christian Slater.
Yeah. He's a good dude, it seems.
Yeah, he seems like he's a little, but I like him.
I do too.
Yeah.
Saw him in New York. We passed each other, made eye contact. It was
Christian
awesome.
Slater.
It was like it was an avenue where no one else was around. I was getting out of school and I'm walking and he's wearing a Yankees hat and he's approaching and I'm like, gave a look. I'm like, man, I know that guy from something. I look again, I'm like, holy fucking shit, it's Christian Slater. I look at him, and he did that thing where he's like, he recognized me, and I gave a nod, and he gave me a nod, just like, yeah, I know you, and he's like, hi, how you doing?
I'm Christian Slater.
Yeah, I'm
you
Christian
tell
Slater.
everybody tonight you saw me.
So that was awesome.
I love that about New York City, by the way.
Yeah, yeah. You see someone, you're just like, holy shit.
I followed Ben Stiller for about 3 blocks. That dude was on a mission. I don't know where he was going, but he was
late.
hot-tailing it. He was late for something. I was behind him, and I'm like, that's Ben Stiller.
I bet he's short. He's short, right?
And he's like bow-legged. Have you ever noticed
Yeah,
like his legs are like looks like he's got off a horse?
Well,
Maybe he did. I don't know. Maybe he was running to a horse. But there are a lot of actors and performers that we've seen in New York. I can't even remember all of them. But one of the cool things about being in New York City is getting to see stars and not go up to them, but just know that they're there because they're around and they're like everybody else, walking around, getting from here to there, going for some coffee, going to the next project. Who fucking knows? They're people just like everybody else. And how cool would it be to meet Tom Cruise?
To meet Tom Cruise?
The people that have actually met him. I hear he's just a great person.
Yeah, well, I have notes about that.
Do you have? Do you want to? Okay, we'll get into that
If
later.
you want to go through the movies first.
Yeah. What do we just get done talking about?
We're on Interview with the Vampire.
Okay.
Real quick.
Sure.
The part of Lestat.
Yeah.
You know how it always goes to so many different actors before it's actually cast.
Okay, let's hear 'em.
Some of the people they wanted to play Lestat.
Okay.
Daniel Day-Lewis would have been awesome. Tom Hanks.
No.
Jeremy Irons.
Yes.
Thank God that didn't happen.
I liked Jeremy Irons.
Jeremy Irons?
Yeah, he would have been perfect. He's pale
okay.
already.
Yeah.
He's kind of
John Malkovich.
Yeah.
And Johnny Depp.
Yeah, he would have done fine in that role.
Most of those I really could see happening.
Most of them.
Tom Cruise, not so much.
Tom
Hanks.
Tom Hanks. Sorry. Yeah. No, Tom Hanks. No.
Yeah, not.
Love Tom Hanks, but not in that role.
Yeah.
No.
Would have been interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
So after that, in '96, he did Jerry Maguire.
And the Jerry Maguire role, the movie is top notch. The performances are great. The little kid in the movie,
Jonathan Lipnicki.
Yeah, what a priceless casting choice to have him in that movie, and it worked. Him and Tom Cruise had some just cute scenes together. I watched this in the theater when it came out, fell in love with it, and I said he's going to be at least nominated for this role. He plays a sports agent. And cocky, but then soon realizes it all comes crashing down when he loses his job trying to be a nice guy.
He wanted to change the way they approach business and had a different mission statement and backfired.
Yeah, he tried to be bold and do something daring, and
Jay Moore fires him in a restaurant.
Yeah, Jay Moore.
I mean,
it's just a great scene between the two of those guys. And then his world comes crashing down. He loses pretty much everything. His fiance, okay, she's gone. His job's gone. Yeah, what was Kelly Preston?
Yeah, John Travolta's wife.
Yeah, and then from that point forward, the movie really takes off. And then in comes Cuba Gooding Jr.
Fucking phenomenal.
Yeah, he won the Academy Award for that role, Best Supporting Role, deserved it.
Oh yeah.
I didn't know too much about him before that movie, Cuba Gooding.
Me neither.
A little bit.
I know he had. I didn't see anything of him prior.
I don't know if I did either. If I did,
so.
It was very small roles. And then you'll see him in a movie that was before Jerry Maguire and go, oh my God, that's Cuba Gooding Jr. Like he's sitting in the
Boys in the Hood or something like that.
Boys in the Hood.
I never seen that.
It's called Lawrence Fishburne and him do a fantastic job.
Yeah, I like Fishburne.
And the best part in the movie in Jerry Maguire is when Tom Cruise is talking to him in the bathroom. And he's trying to tell him, I'm trying to help you.
Yeah.
Help me, help you. And he's kicking the walls. He's getting so frustrated. Help me, help you. And he's really losing his mind.
Did you know that was first said by Kathy Bates in Misery?
Help me, help you?
Yes. She says that to Khan.
Okay. I'm not remembering that part in the movie. Help me, help you. Okay. I wonder if they got that from... if that just be a coincidence.
It's probably a coincidence, but it was one of the tidbits I read about Jerry Maguire.
Help me, help you. And of course, the famous "Show Me the Money" came from this movie.
Yeah.
And a little cameo from one of the members of the Eagles. His name is I forget his name. I always forget his name, but he was in the Eagles. He played the I want to say the general manager of the Phoenix Cardinals, and he approached him during practice. Tom Cruise approached him and said, "Well, we got to talk about his contract." And the guy's like, "Well, meet me at the restaurant."
Huh.
Oh yeah, okay. And then he stood him up. And at the very end of the movie, when Cuba Gooding's character catches the ball,
Yeah,
and everybody's all, you see him in the hallway, and he's like, "You're gonna have to pay us now."
Oh,
and he's
right.
like, "Oh yeah, okay." Well, he was in the Eagles, and he actually did a few like Miami Vice stuff. I never knew that was an Eagles
the
guy.
band, the
the
Eagles?
band.
Okay.
Yeah.
First, I thought we were talking about the Philadelphia Eagles. And I
Oh
was like,
no,
wait,
no, no,
what?
no, yeah, no.
I'm thinking of
the band,
players
the
like
band,
Donovan McNabb.
Yeah. But there was Don Henley, and then this guy.
Okay.
And
okay.
I forgot his name, and I'll remember it when the podcast is over.
Probably.
But yeah, I like to put that kind of stuff in there.
Well, this is a good story about Jonathan Lipnicki.
The little kid.
Lipnicki, whatever his name is,
cute
wasn't
kid.
the first kid hired.
Oh, okay.
They had this other kid doing this role.
Oh, what happened? Why did they get rid of him?
He got burnt out. Apparently, he just he
just couldn't
pretty
do
much couldn't handle it and wanted to quit. And Tom Cruise kept in touch with the kid.
Okay.
And who's the director? Fuck.
Of Jerry Maguire? Is it Cameron?
I think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cameron.
Fuck.
Cameron Crowe.
Cameron Crowe got a letter
Yeah.
from this the mother saying, just can you tell Tom Cruise thank you for giving gifts to my son and writing to my son, because it really meant a lot to him. It was really hard to quit this, the movie.
Tom Cruise felt bad for the little kid,
Yeah,
basically.
and he kept in touch with him. Because he didn't want him to be discouraged. He didn't want him to feel bad that once the movie came out and he didn't see himself in it.
It must be hard.
So Tom Cruise kept in touch, and Cameron Crowe had no idea Tom Cruise was doing this. So he was kind of like, what the fuck? What do you mean? I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay.
So he first learned about it from this mother calling to thank.
So there's Tom Cruise doing something like that. Not professing it like, hey, look what I'm doing for this kid. And he did it on his own because he wanted to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It goes to show those people who really don't like Tom Cruise, like,
Right.
if there's one person we can maybe switch that's,
Yeah.
like,
yeah.
people who don't like him, like, he really is a good guy.
Yeah, I think he is. You're right.
I know the Scientology thing kind of fucking overshadows a lot of that. But I think as a person, I think he is a good dude.
I think so. I would agree with you 100%. Doing my research before, I really didn't know these things.
Me neither.
I kind of saw him as a loopy, crazy, zany,
me too.
off the wall, kind of doesn't know who he is person.
Like when we decided to do this episode of Cruise, which was like 2 months ago, it's taken forever to actually do this. And I told you, I'm like, as an actor, I love him. He's great.
Yeah.
One of my faves. But as a person, I'm like, I think he's kind of like a
I think we say
fake almost.
Yeah,
like
he forgets who he really is.
Yeah, like he.
Do you feel differently about that now? I do in a way. In a way.
In a way, yes. I think when you see him in interviews, he's very guarded. He's very private. He's not going to let you in.
In certain ways, yes.
He is very cautious of what he says.
Yes.
When you watch interviews with him and then he's asked something, he's thinking a lot about how he's going to answer that question. I
noticed that.
Like, he's very like, I'm not going to want to say something stupid. So he's very guarded. He puts up a wall,
right.
And that's something that I've always, before I've done my research and I've seen some of that, I'm just like, he's almost seems like he's acting all the time.
He comes off that way because it looks fake. How can someone be that positive and energetic and things like that?
But there's also, doing my research, there's certain interviews you see, the Matt Lauer interview, that's really him. That's really him being like very determined and
passionate about what he's talking about.
Yeah. And very confrontational.
He
to the
was
point
to
where
Matt,
you thought he was going to slap Matt Lauer in the face.
Like he was a kid. He was talking like he was a kid.
It was very bizarre. It was something I'd never seen before.
Yeah.
Most people probably have already seen this interview because it was a big deal.
It was with Matt Lauer on what show was that? It was like a morning show.
The morning show that he got fired from not long ago.
It was kind of a creepy interview, and I'll tell you why. Not only did it get heated, and that made it awkward, but they kept showing Katie Holmes. Did you watch it? It was really weird. Like, she was there in the room, like sitting on a chair, watching the interview, and then they would. She would come up every now and then, like, oh, Tom, you got this new woman in your life, and, you're really happy about this. He goes, I just can't stop smiling. I'm so wonderfully happy. And then they'd show, and there she is, Katie, and they'd switch over to her, and she's just, like, looking like a I can't talk.
Sideward?
Sideway.
Is that a word?
Sideway.
Sideway.
A sideway glance. I wanted to combine two words, wasn't working out. Anyways, it was just really creepy. They kept showing her like, "Hi, I'm Katie Holmes." There's something about her
He's
that
given
bothers
some
me.
pretty bad interviews. Let's just put it that way. The Oprah thing is obviously.
Yeah, I mean,
if you're alive and you've never seen that,
Ugh.
then I don't know what
he
you're
hops
doing.
up on the couch, right? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, and we were talking about this earlier, and most people who know Tom well and have commented on that, they just say like that's how he is. He's so fucking excited about everything.
It's weird though.
And that's
weird.
a lot of it is weird.
It is weird.
Because it's hard to understand.
But that's him. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just how he is. And
Real
when
zany.
when people first saw that side of him, everyone's like,
What a nutbag.
"You're a weirdo." And I guess it's justified. You could kind of be like, "Okay, we're writing you off." Those
Yeah.
people who maybe did like him or maybe were on the fence about him, just like, never mind.
Yeah,
I'll never-
got the
you're-
Scientology.
Yeah.
And, it also like the way he laughs sometimes seems
It's
a little
scary.
forced. It's like really loud and forced, but that's just the way he laughs. It's just a belly,
Yeah,
forceful laugh.
I
know.
don't think there's an actor on the planet who's judged more by how he acts than Tom Cruise.
You're right about that.
And that could be wrong. I know we're living in this era where it's like judging people is like our thing.
Yeah, that's what we do. The
And-
media, that's what they do.
Yeah, and it's
That's
like
their job.
And in fact, it's kind of wrong. It's like we don't really know these people. Like
Yeah, behind
we
closed
really
doors.
don't.
We really don't know them. We think that we do, or we have an idea of
Yeah.
what they are, who they are, how they feel. We don't. We're just making judgment calls, and that's what we're doing on this show.
Yeah,
And,
that's what we do.
That's what we do.
Because that's what everyone else does.
we like to dive more into them. And we had an opinion about Tom Cruise before we started this, and it's different.
it's a little different.
Because we kind of dig deep into his life and what goes on in other aspects of his life as well. And we will talk about Scientology because it is a part of his life. We're going to do that later. What's his next film that you would like to touch on? Well, we just did Jerry.
Yeah, and I'm sure we're skipping over a lot of
We're
stuff.
gonna have to,
because
but-
I only put down some that I really wanted to mention.
Yeah, go ahead.
So we talked about Jerry Maguire.
Fantastic.
And I feel like a dick. I have Mission Impossible next.
Well, yeah. Well, Mission Impossible.
But I don't have any notes.
Well, no, that's fine because it is what it is.
Yeah.
And most people have seen it. They have their opinion on it. It's just a fantastic series. I think you said how many movies now? 6? Are you kidding me? 6? I didn't know that.
I think they're working on the 6th one.
That's amazing.
We should know this.
Let's just put it this way. A very successful string of films.
Yeah,
He produced it, okay? And he stars in it. Big deal for Tom Cruise. And a big moneymaker. They're very popular.
And they're fun. They're fun action
I
movies.
love them. They're tough to follow because they're so in depth with the
Yeah, I remember
script. Yeah.
the first one. I'm just like, I was.
You're
when did
lost.
this come out? 96, 16. So I guess
Yeah,
it's
I was
not a good
lost.
excuse, but I mean,
It takes a couple of
It's like,
viewings to get it.
what's going on? You're
Yeah.
talking so fast. But after that was in this movie took a while to make. Eyes Wide Shut.
Okay.
In '99, this came out. Kubrick's
yeah.
last film.
Yeah.
This is loaded. It
This-
could be very loaded.
Well, yeah.
And you did a Kubrick.
I did. I touched lightly on it because I want to do a Eyes Wide Shut episode.
Oh, you are.
Oh, I want to. There's a lot to talk about with that film.
Yeah, there is.
I don't want to say it bombed, but it didn't live up to the expectation that we all thought it would, and they did as well. It didn't make the amount of money they wanted it to make, and it wasn't a critical success either. And I'll tell you why. And this is my opinion. It was because of the content. If you've never seen Eyes Wide Shut, you should, because there's a lot going on in terms of what high society has to deal with this movie.
Yeah, this movie didn't do well. I don't think because of that.
Really?
I
Okay.
think it's because of the slow moving.
It was very slow. It was, but it was fantastic. It held my interest the whole time.
It
did. I enjoy it.
I know.
I love
but,
it.
dude, people have the attention span of like basically a third grader.
I do too, but maybe it's just because I love the content of it. That whole high society, behind closed doors, this whole other world that we think exists. Okay, I think Stanley Kubrick had knowledge of what really does go on in high society and wanted to give us a glimpse into just that. I find it fascinating. And they say that that wasn't even the film that Stanley Kubrick wanted to put out. When he died, they butchered it. And there
In the editing process?
Yes,
See,
they
I hear
butchered it,
that Kubrick did finish editing it,
but they took it away from him.
and then, really?
Yep. And it's a very controversial thing that, oh, by the way, Stanley Kubrick ended up dying a little bit before that movie came out. It's ridiculous. There are a lot of shady things going on with Kubrick, a lot of shady things going on with this movie. Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman, husband and wife being in that movie, kind of not kosher in a lot of acting circles. That was kind of frowned upon. I thought they did a great job. And then you have the whole mystery of Stanley Kubrick and his films. It's very interesting stuff. Something that I may want to dive into in the future. But for now, the acting, good.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Tom Cruise how long did it take to make this movie?
It took like 3 years?
3
years?
years.
Something like that.
That is dedicating 3 years of your life to one project. And we're not talking about a year to prepare and do all that. No, they were on set for 3 years. That's a long time. That is. Yeah.
Yeah, that is.
A best scene at the end when he's talking with Sidney Pollack.
That is my favorite scene.
Isn't it? Why is it? Is it because it's just...
Well, it's hard. I love Sidney Pollack to start with.
He's a director, by the way.
Yeah, and he's
actor.
he's a director, But,
Went to the Playhouse.
I mean, even his scenes with Tootsie are the best parts of that movie because there's something about him that is appealing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just that the way Pollack handles that scene is really why I love it so much.
He controlled that scene.
He does. The way he acts, I don't know.
Cruise was so utterly vulnerable in that scene.
Yes.
Utterly. And Pollack is pretty much telling him how it is. Mm-hmm. Get a hold of yourself. Things going on you don't need to know about, and just go home and live your life. Learn something from this whole thing, basically. Mm-hmm. My favorite part of the movie. And I guess Harvey Keitel was supposed to play that role. Didn't, for some reason.
That's a good thing.
Pollack,
Not that I don't like Harvey Keitel. I'm just saying it.
Pollack nailed it.
Pollack was good. In fact, when they went to do that scene, Pollack being a director, he had a pretty much he felt he knew how it was going to be blocked and how it was going to go. But of course, Kubrick's like, we're filming this from every fucking angle in the world. So it took what Pollack thought was like a day's work.
Yeah. Should have taken a day or two.
Days.
Oh, I'm
of
sure
work.
it took weeks. I think it took weeks
to do that one scene.
Just that one scene. That's why it took 3 years to make that movie. Every scene took like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, oh my God. I'm surprised Cruise didn't look too much different. Because in 3 years you can change.
Yeah.
Your body size or whatever. Like, he looked the same through the whole movie. And I think he was in every scene. I mean, it was just a
he pretty much was.
A slow-moving film, like you stated.
It is.
But I thought it was beautifully done. It's Stanley Kubrick. Every single one of his films is phenomenal. So that's Eyes Wide Shut. Okay, and we'll be back. Okay, all right. So we have decided to go ahead and end this episode because we are at about an hour and a half, and we don't want the episode to be too long. So we're going to wrap it up. Thank you for listening to this edition of The Actors Room, Tom Cruise Part 1. So me and my brother will be back next time to continue with this just epic episode or series of Tom Cruise. So I hope you had a great day, have a great evening, and we'll be back next time. So go ahead, put in that movie tonight, one that makes you feel happy or one that makes you feel sad. It is what kind of day you had, right? So do that, put your feet up, pour yourself a few drinks, and put in that movie. God bless you. Have a good one.